Hello, welcome to another edition of Candid Convos with Evette Rawls. I am Evette Rawls, founder and creator of Teach a Coach series. Today we're going to start session 3, focusing on student expectation and how to build long-lasting relationships with students. I am going to share this with 3 tips: creating safety, consistency, and respect in your classroom. When there is safety in your classroom, students, they feel comfortable. When a student feels comfortable, they feel safe. How do you create this? You create the sense of safety in your classroom by the climate that you create in your classroom. The climate is everything that you do inside of your classroom. That is from how do you greet the students when they walk in the door? Are there lights in your room? Light strings in your room? Different types of light settings in your room. Excuse me for all that. What does it smell like when you go into your room? What is the expectation when are kids able to talk in your room? Are we allowed to use our cell phones in your room? What is the expectation? How are you giving these rules? In giving your expectations or rules, you want to make sure that you have the option or you create the pathway for students to be able to be themselves. When a child feels free enough to be who they are, they feel safe. And yes, we are educators and we are trying to mold and shape the minds of the future citizens of our country. However, at the same time, we want to make sure that we are respecting who we have in our classroom. Whoever you are, I love you for who you are. And again, as educators, we're lifelong learners, so it's maybe something that we learn from that student in the classroom. When a student feels safe, not only are you building a long-lasting relationship, but you're building the expectation for the students to always know that they can feel comfortable in your presence. Whether they see you every day in the classroom or 10 years from now, they'll remember how you made them feel in your class. The second thing when thinking about the student expectations from you, because yes, students have expectations from us, and building lifelong lasting relationships with your students, is consistency. This means that whatever you start in August should still be in place in May or June, whenever you get out of school. This means that even if you teach summer school, and I'll give you an example, even in summer school, the expectations that we had in place during the regular school year, those students that had summer school with me, they knew they had to walk in line 3 blocks away from the wall, because that's something that I put and instilled in them from the first day of school. Throughout the year, I always instilled it. I never let it slide. Hey, when you're in the hallway, you are one behind the other. We don't move unless, and you set this expectation, you expect it, and you make sure that you always uphold. If you ever allow them, and I'm just using the walking in the hallway as an example right now, allow them to just run up the hallway, you've lost the control. You have to start all the way back over again. Even the days you don't feel like saying, I just don't feel like I'm just gonna let them go. Don't do it every day, because even though they say, oh man, we gotta walk in line, yes you do. Even though they grunt and they complain, they will always respect that expectation that you put before them. Also, when it comes to students mistreating others in the classroom, be the first one to correct it. Hey, we don't do that. If you're not filling the bucket of another student, keep your mouth closed. We have to make sure that we're consistent in every area. If you have a rewards or an incentive program, make sure you're consistent with that. If every Friday you're giving out some rewards or some incentives, make sure you continue with that. Now, granted, you can say, hey, we're not doing it this Friday because of what happened and your behavior didn't meet the expectation, and then that's a consequence. But if you say you're going to do something, please be consistent with that. That helps with building those lifelong relationships with your students, and they pay attention to it, because they're like, she follows through, she makes sure that whatever she says, she's going to do. The last thing that I want to share is respect. How do you gain respect from your students? It's your actions, not your words. I posted a question one time on social media, and I said, do you really like your students? Like, do you like your students? And hey, you can say no. It's up to you, because some days you may not like your students. right? Your students may not like you, but it's something about respect. They may not like you, but they'll respect you. And that respect comes from the safety and the consistency that you create in that classroom. When you have respect from a student and also other people, when you have respect from them, it doesn't matter if they don't like you. They know your expectation. How do you create that respect? It's not, oh, I'm going to write you up, things like that. Because the first day of school, well, hopefully, not the first day of school, you're not saying, hey, if you keep talking, I'm going to write you up. Hopefully you're not. But if that is the case, you want to make sure that you're creating multiple ways for students to be successful. When you became a teacher, you came with the mindset that you wanted all students to be successful. What are you doing to make sure that all students are successful? The students know when you're striving towards that goal. And through that, that's how respect is earned. That means, no, I'm not sending you out. Now, granted, it is times that you need to send somebody out. If they're interrupting another student's learning, then they need to go out for a few minutes. However, if you know that the student is using that as a way or a form of deflection to get out of the classroom, no, not today. You're not going out. My job is to make sure that you're learning. You're going to stay in here with me. You're going to move over here with me, and we're going to learn this. We're going to learn this strategy together. What happens is they may come up against you. They may have an attitude. They may even get worse in the behavior that they were doing before. But through that, they gain your respect. They gain respect for you. Excuse me. And because they're like, oh my gosh, she really wants me to learn. I've used this strategy several times. And of course, everybody has different personalities. Everybody has different tolerance levels. But I encourage you to find multiple ways for students to be successful. Not so quick to write a student up, but say, hey, I want you to be successful. This is what we're going to do. This is not working for you. Today's a bad day for you. Hey, have some turtle time. I'm going to give you turtle time for 5 minutes. I need you to put your head on the desk. When I come back, we're going to try this again. In those strategies, in those moments of trying and figuring out ways for a student to be successful, especially when you're dealing with a student that may seem just a little difficult, in that moment, you're gaining their respect. It may not look like it, but you are. So when I ask you, do you really like your students? It may be that you don't like the actions that they're displaying at that moment, but when you are developing different ways for them to be successful, you really do like your students. So I'm going to end this session because I've covered the 3 things that I wanted to share about the student expectations. And the student expectations is that they are safe, that there is consistency, and that there is respect. That means not only do you want them to respect you, but you also respect them. And building lasting relationships, you want to make sure that there is safety. You are allowing the students to feel free in who they are and comfortable in who they are. You're consistent in your actions every single day, every interaction that you have with them, and that there is respect in every action and interaction that you have with them. In that, you will build relationships that will last their entire life, no matter where they see you, whether that's in the grocery store, at church, in a community event, or possibly in the school next year, because a student will never forget how you made them feel. And that is the end of Candid Convos Session 3 with Evette. Hope to see you guys soon. Make sure you share this with any teachers that you feel would benefit from these Candid Convos. Have a great one.